20 minutes you spend planting a tree can make the difference between a tree that has a long, healthy life and a tree that struggles for a few years before it dies. And one of the most important things when you're planting a tree is to plant that tree at the right depth. If you buy a tree in a container or balled in burlap, the rule of thumb is to plant it at the same depth that it was planted in that container or in that burlap. But you always want to double check to make sure it wasn't planted too deep at the nursery, where the trunk flares out into the root system should be right above the soil line. So here we have a tree that was planted too deep. And what that means is that less water is getting down that deep to the roots. And roots also need oxygen. They breathe just like people do. And so that deep in the soil, there's less air movement, there's less oxygen available to those roots. And ultimately what happens is this tree suffocates. This tree is young enough that it can still be saved. One option would be to dig it up and actually replant it, raising that root ball up to the proper level. This tree's been in the ground for a few years and the roots are fairly established. I don't want to stress that tree out by digging it, so what I'm going to do instead is excavate some soil around that tree down to the proper level. So remember, plant your trees at the right height, do it once, do it right. This is Chris Hilgert, University of Wyoming Extension. You're watching From the Ground Up.